Hello, everyone. My name is Megan Ellsworth here at rooferscoffeeshop.com, and I am back again with my friend Trent Cotney for an influencer response for February 2024. Hi, Trent.
Hey, good to see you again.
Good to see you too. Okay, so this month's topic is all about subcontractor safety. So important. The question is, what steps do you take to ensure your subcontractor's work and safety is aligned with your company to avoid risk?
Yeah, so complex question, right? Because you have to factor in the desire for safety, but you also have to think about risk mitigation as it relates to OSHA liability. OSHA often looks to see who the controlling contractor is on a job site. So if you are a prime roofing contractor and you sub out 100% of your labor, you may be held liable for your sub's bad acts if you can't demonstrate that the sub is responsible for their own safety. So you can do that through a subcontract. You can do that on the, at the job site. And I think that the key thing to do is you encourage safety through a top-down approach. So if your quality control person or superintendent or whoever it is that you have monitoring, the subcontractor's progress identifies a safety violation, you go to that crew leader or the head of that subcontractor and you say, hey, you're in breach of the contract. It's your responsibility to ensure their safety. Get this corrected immediately, stand down. You may be subject to a back charge or whatever it might be, right? That's different than if you go on and actually are physically putting harnesses on, the crew of the sub. Also recommend that you don't, have your safety gear on sub crews, meaning that your name isn't on that. I know it's good for marketing purposes, but from a liability perspective, you're basically owning it at that point. There are ways that you can provide PPE to subs. So if they don't have their own PPE, you can do, a lease agreement. You can set up a separate account with your, supplier, distributor to get it done that way. You can, potentially do a back charge or set off or something like that. But to keep that's better than just giving them, say, here's our equipment. Use our equipment while you're on the job. So there are ways that you can ensure safety, but again, you want to really focus on doing that top down rather than ground up.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I had never put thought into the fact that maybe you don't want your branding on your subcontractor crews. Um, that is, I hope everyone is taking notes for this one. That was a very key point. Anything else, any other tips or wisdom pieces of advice for this month's question for everyone listening?
Yeah, you always hear me talk about backfilling stuff administratively. You want a good subcontractor checklist so that when you're onboarding subs, you're making sure you get evidence that they've got workers' comp, that they've got commercial general liability, that they've signed a master subcontract agreement, that, get a copy of their safety manual. Do they have a safety program? If they don't, then you know what you're getting into, right? And, depending on where our listeners are listening to this, there are some areas that are highly, highly regulated, like Florida and California. The other places that are more wide open. So you have to adjust your subcontractor checklist depending on what's important in your area. But have those onboarding procedures and protocols in place because it's going to allow you to vet your subs and make sure that you're checking the boxes before there's problems.
Well said. Awesome. Well, Trent, as usual, amazing job. Thank you for your wisdom and your pieces of advice. I hope, again, everyone out there enjoyed this month's influencer response from Trent Cotney, and we'll be chatting next month.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Trent.